Men who have been proposed to by their girlfriends, how did you feel about it? So I was the girlfriend. He glowed for days afterward, looked up the statistics and glowed some more. He didn't care that it's typically the guy's job to do the asking. He was too busy being overwhelmed by the fact that I love him enough to ask. I wasn't really planning on proposing, but one day while surfing the web I found this ring that was exactly his style and even had customizable runes. He is a die-hard lover of all Viking stuff and I knew I just had to get it. I bought 2 rings, invited him to our favorite restaurant, and after dessert I popped the question. No, I didn't get down on one knee or announce it for everyone to hear. My husband got so happy and yelled out, "Oh shit, awesome." When I showed him the rings on, he popped a boner that lasted all the way home, and he was such in high spirit that he decided that we should have a bake-off. Spent the rest of the evening gaming and stuffing ourselves with cake and buns. I was worried that he would feel emasculated and stuff, but he said that he's really happy to have such a cool engagement ring, and he has never been one to think that by being a man you had to do manly stuff and not be overshadowed by women. He still tell me almost daily how much he likes being married, and now we have a kid coming our way, so I guess everything is really nice. Okay, so a few weeks after we met, we were taking a shower together and she corners me and says, "So are we dating? Are you okay with us dating? It's okay if you say no. Will you go be my boyfriend?" Of course, being the absolute specimen of a gentleman that I am, I say, "Well, you caught me with my butthole out. I can't say no." Fast forward 4 years. We are camping. The nearest town is 60 miles away. The car is a few miles away. It's cold, and I'm changing clothes. I'm butt naked in the tent. She says, "So baby, I've been thinking." I say, "Oh Lord, let me at least put my pants on." She says, "Could you see yourself marrying me? Have you thought about it before? Will you marry me?" I said, "Well, you caught me with my butthole out. I can't say no." She thought that was hilarious. Then we had a good long chat about it. On track for getting married in April. I think it's pretty cool that she did it both times. Definitely made my life easier, and I'm sure I'm underappreciating the clarity. Pretty good about it, I guess, because I said yes. Even better now because 20 years or so later I get to say, "Hey, this was your idea." It was humbling. She had a learning disability and wrote, and then read out loud her proposal. She was terrified of blowing it, and it was the most important moment in her life. We were both in our 40s, and I was blown away because after being with her for 7 years, I didn't know how important it was to her. We're in our 60s now, still humbled. Who won? I can answer. I was ecstatic to be engaged to her. I was planning on acking her in 6 months' time too. So it worked out. She did it on my golden birthday at a music festival. So needless to say, I was quite inebriated. Right before she did it, we sat on a bench and she asked me, "So, how are you feeling?" I replied, "Fucked up." Then she got on one knee, and I started crying. It's 2 years later and we're still doing the same shenanigans without the proposing and crying. I feel a complete indifference that she was the one to do it. People are almost always shocked when they hear it, except my dad's family. They're so open and awesome. But honestly, with my semi-apparent commitment issues, I may never have done it in the long run, who knows. So better that she did. We talked about marriage before, and we kind of jointly decided that we probably would get married at some point. I'd been married before, and it hadn't ended well, so I was a bit resistant to the idea when we got together. But we talked about it on and off over the years, and my attitudes towards it had softened slowly. The key thing was that I'd realized that my first wife and I had gotten married in a subconscious attempt to paper over the cracks in our 5-year relationship. It didn't work, surprise. And we separated about 18 months after we got wed. By the time my current wife proposed, we'd been together for 8 years, and we both knew our relationship was solid, and getting better every year. There weren't any cracks to paper over. If we got married, it'd be for love, stability, solidity. So I accepted without the slightest hesitation, and we're happily married still. 6 years later, I proposed to my girlfriend, now fiancée, the other day, but my friend told me today that if his girlfriend proposed to him, he would say no and then propose to her the next day. Seems kinda stupid when the question's already in the air, but to each their own. he would say no and then propose to her the next day. Unless he says no in a way that clearly indicates what he intends and subtly gets her approval for it. I can see that going in some very unfortunate directions for him. Starting with her being totally heartbroken and maybe not ready to get on board with, "It's just a prank bro," a day later. My husband says he was just fine with it. Although he didn't get proposed to by his girlfriend, I got proposed to by my future wife. He is so cheesy. Love him. Not exactly a proposal, but my ex wanted to elope. I said no, not because I wouldn't have married her in a heartbeat, but partly because I would want my family there for it, and because I knew that her parents would disown her and it would hurt everyone in the process. No matter how open-minded Indian families are, their world would shatter. I keep thinking how I might have answered her differently. Perhaps it could have saved the relationship. My response might have just fueled her insecurities. In fact, it's weird that this question came up today on my feed because I was thinking about it today. Her "Hey, wanna get married?" Me, yeah. We got married the next Friday at the courthouse. Had a few beers at the local pub and went home. We are pretty relaxed. My girlfriend walked up behind me while I was cooking, hugged me. We've been married 22 years and I'm still waiting for her to actually propose. Not me, but my mom proposed to my dad because she got tired of waiting for him after they'd been going out for almost 10 years. He was casual about it and was like, "Sure, I'll marry you." My dad was always shy and my mother more direct. They'd known each other since they were 15, so they'd been together for so long they kinda forgot about marriage. They've been married for 30 years now and still going strong. I asked my dad this question. I didn't want to get married, but there's nothing else to do in Cuba, so I did it anyways. My wife proposed to me 4+ years ago because she knew I wouldn't do it. Secretly, I had always told my friends that the only way I was going to get married was if a girl proposed to me. As far as I know, she didn't know this. Worked out. Just awesome. The most curious thing was that when I told other people we were engaged, about 80% of the people would ask, "How did you propose?" and then I had to explain I didn't. I was made the happiest man that day. Twice. Long story if you are interested. It was the day of my final exam of my 3-year apprenticeship. She took the day off and was more nervous than me when we had coffee together. I was sure she was nervous for the same reason as I was and didn't pay much attention as my mind was occupied by the exam. 2 hours later, I passed the exam and we were standing outside with a colleague having a smoke and talking, and another cigarette. I was just so relieved and felt light as air and happy to not have a single thing on my mind than, I did it. My girlfriend though was shuffling her feet, not really taking part in the conversation. After what must have been hours for her, she asked what I wanted to do. Going downtown, shopping, or grab something to eat. I didn't care at all. She drove to the record store first. We walked to the window to have a look at the record players as we were thinking about getting a new one. "How do you like that one?" she asked, pointing at one in the back. There was sign next to it with my name on it, and bright as I am I said, "It has my name on it, what else?" It had, "Let's face the music and dance," written on it. I just stared blank at it and then at her, having not the foggiest. She said, "Now that you are a technician, I wanted to ask you if you also want to be my man." I said I would love to. Hugs and kisses. When I looked at the player again, I noticed 3 of the staff standing behind it, smiling and cheering with a bottle of champagne and glasses. It was a 11/10 day. My mom proposed to my dad. They are still married after 30 years. My dad had been married twice previously and my mother once before. He said he never wanted to get married again and she said, "F that." So one day, when my dad got back from work on the railroad, she was waiting for him with a steak and some scotch and she asked him and he said okay. The end. It was great. We had lived together for about a year, and one Sunday afternoon we were sitting on the couch talking shit. And she started talking about how women could use boobs to get men to do literally anything. I argued that she was wrong and we weren't that simple. She sat on my lap facing me, lifted up her shirt and said, "Will you marry me?" I was sworn to secrecy afterwards, but I'm pretty sure Reddit doesn't count. My mum proposed to my dad. In a pub. About 2 months after dating. He said no until he found a steady job and could support them. 2 weeks later he found full-time work and said they could get married. They celebrated 30 years together in May. I love them so much. I melted. Happiest moment of my life. Didn't once occur to me what the conventional norm was supposed to be. Didn't feel emasculated or anything. Just felt so loved. Actually, I did at one point think, getting proposed to is the best feelings in the world. Me. I can't do this for her now. Fuick. How do I make her feel as loved as she is making me feel in this moment? This love shit is so hard. Unfortunately, she passed away 5 months after that, and I never did get to wait for her at the end of the aisle.